On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, Wizards fans? Just had a little blooper there. You know, the Wizards have had a blooper season so far anyway. Just a little Shaq in the Fool moment. But it's your host, the real Ed Oliver, my guy, Brandon Scott. Today we're going to recap the Wizards versus Clippers game, the John Wall homecoming game, and the report from Eric Pincus saying that Kyle Kuzma wants out of D.C. Before we get started, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. Myself and Brandon, we were at the Clippers game in person. We got to meet each other for the first time, so that was awesome. We took a picture. I'll probably put that in the community tab on our Locked On Wizards page. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell and make sure you guys subscribe as well. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. But getting back to the Clippers game, what was your biggest reason for the loss? Was it double teaming Kawhi at the end? Was it the zone defense towards the end of the game? What was your biggest reason for the loss against the Clippers?
All of the above. Where do I start? I feel like this game was very winnable, man. We held the lead going into the fourth. You know, we were rolling. You know, Kuz and KB were rolling, but the biggest reasons, you can point at three major reasons. You know, number one, the zone just wasn't working. Two, double teaming led to open shooters, and the perimeter just was hurting. Our perimeter defense was non-existent tonight. If you look at the four best three-point shooters for the Clippers, Paul George shot 5 for 12. Morris, the senior, 5 for 8. Kennard, 3 for 6. Batum, 4 for 10. They did whatever they want, and even with those misses, they were just misses. They were wide open. We were not rotating in a timely manner. It was a lot of open shooters, and the double teaming, I don't get it. I don't see a reason to double team. That he's been guilty. West has been guilty for that a few times this season. The double teams led to open shooters, and they cooked us. 3-point. The perimeter, the lack of perimeter defense to me was the reason we lost. Because if you look at the team stats, man, it's an even game. Field goal percentage, 43 to their 42. 3-point percentage, we shot 47, believe it or not, to their 39. But 39, it could have been a lot higher. Free throws, we shot 17 for 19. Rebounds, 50 to their 42. And then offensive rebounds, 9 to the 8. Assists, 24 to their 22. Turnovers, we got 15, they got 10. And then points in paint, even at 32. So team-wise, we were even. It was a very even matchup. So, no, they just cooked us on perimeter. That's what won the game for them.
Definitely, yeah. Nicholas Batum hit some big shots. Luke Kennard hit some big shots. That's because we doubled. Wes Unseld Jr., he's just fallen in love with the double team this year, and the zone defense, it just hasn't worked out. The Pacers, when they went nuclear from the three-point line, Kevin Durant, when he killed us, when we doubled him. There were just so many times where we doubled guys, and it just came and it hurt us. And I don't know why Wes keeps going back to us. Now, I don't know if Corey Kispert doubled Kawhi because that was his decision or whether Wes told him to do that. It left Nicholas Batum open for a couple of threes. Nicholas Batum, I want to look at his numbers and just see how many threes he hit. He was 4 for 10 from the three-point line. I think that was the deciding factor right there. Not just him hitting those threes, but they were huge. Like he hit timely threes in the clutch. 4 for 10 from the three-point line. And like you said, we were up by 13 going into the end of the third quarter. We took Porzingis out. We took some of the stars out. Devin Dotson had to play. We were undermanned. No Rui, no Brad, no DeLon, no Monte Morris, no Will Barton. Not saying that some of these guys are world beaters at all, but we were undermanned. So you had to go deep into some of your G League team. And Devin Dotson, he had a turnover. He had to take foul. I'm not blaming the game on him either, but the Clippers went on a run to end that third quarter. Porzingis wasn't in. We just didn't have any guys that could create a shot for themselves and score, and they struggled. It was almost like misses turned into easy baskets for the Clippers, and I think that was a huge deciding factor for the Wizards too. And I think there's some times where Wes, he leaves Porzingis out too long. Now I know Porzingis fell one time and he looked like he was hurt. He was like grabbing his leg or something like that. I don't know exactly what happened, whether he just needed to get back in and get his body ready. But when Porzingis sat and some of our starters were out, Denny was out as well. I thought Denny had a solid. He was solid. Had a couple boards, finished well around the rim. He had a couple threes. So I was impressed with his overall game. It looked like he improved, but when the starters go out, man, the bench, how many points did the bench have? Only 7 points. 7 points.
Yeah,
Gav
7
had
points.
0. Taj had 0. Taj had a turnover that hurt us. Timely possession that we really needed. Only 7 points from your bench. You just need more. And I know, like I said, we're undermanned. A lot of guys are out, but just even when we're healthy, the bench hasn't really been productive. So I thought that stretch really hurt, and I think some of that's on West too. Sometimes you just got to ride your guys. If Porzingis has to play 40 minutes sometimes with guys out, I don't know that's not great for his body. Then yes, the Pacers game too. I thought Porzingis should have played more. I thought West kept Porzingis out a little too long. When Porzingis was balling, Porzingis didn't even miss a shot in the whole first half against the Pacers. And then Kuzma was going crazy too. 35 points, 7-11 for the 3. It kind of tailed off towards the end, took some tough shots. And that last shot at the end where Kawhi Leonard pieced the shot. Porzingis said that Kawhi Leonard touched a little bit of the ball and blocked it a little bit. It just didn't look like a play was called at all. It was just unorganized. It was just like, that's the best shot we could get out of that play. So it was a disappointing loss and definitely a winnable game for the Wizards.
Oh, absolutely. Very winnable. I mean, going to the fourth quarter, we had the lead and then it just unraveled. And it's because this is on West. All right. I don't say this often, but this is on West. It is. If you look at the double teams,
you do sometimes.
I know, right? But I mean, this is on him, man, because the double teams, do some scouting, man. Look, Kennard is a known 3-point shooter. Okay, Batum, a known 3-point shooter. Now, Marcus Morris, man, he was cooking 3-point. I didn't know he was that daggone good, but he was cooking. I mean, Paul George was cooking. Now, they did kind of keep Kawhi down this game. Kawhi had an off night. But, if you know that perimeters are the name of the game for the Clippers, what are we doing, man? Like, you're double teaming, you're leading to open shooters. All right, 1 or 2 times I get it, but he kept doing it. So, I mean, time and time again, the 3-point shot killed us tonight. Absolutely killed us tonight. And if you look at the bench, 10 minutes for Gav, 0 points. 10 minutes, we're back to this again. Like, Gav should have 8. The Clippers, who's your second team center? Because I know Zubac
starts.
Yeah, so the fact that we don't even know tells you.
Moses Brown is the.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Moses Brown.
The backup big man.
Yeah, and he's a 7-footer and he's a defensive guy, but still, let him eat, man. 10 minutes. Gibson was a non-factor. Gill's a non-factor. Dotson, I felt like he showed a lot of energy, and I love him as a player. But 3 points is just the bench was a letdown, and we're feeling it. We need Rui back. We need these guys back. We need to start getting some of these guys back because we're starting to feel the end of death. It's hurting us, man. It's hurting. But on some positive note, Goodwin, 17 points, 14 or not 14, hopefully, 4 rebounds. So Goodwin again was very, very. I mean, he, the dog in the night. He played well. So, but overall, man, overall, just the bench was a letdown, and we have to defend the perimeter shot. I don't get it, man. The perimeter shot again and again is killing us this season. Our record is what, 11-16. We are 12th in the East, bro. It's starting to. You got to learn from our mistakes, man. We're sliding. We're sliding. We got Brooklyn tomorrow night. We have a West Coast trip that is looking like it's going to be a make or break for this roster. So, until we show up perimeter defense, this is going to be a reoccurring factor this season, unfortunately.
Oh, 100%. I guess we're going to get to the John Wall reunion and homecoming. We're going to talk about that just a little bit more about the game. But before we do get into that, this episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Cancel unnecessary subscriptions with Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on. The other day, I tried to cancel my Amazon Prime subscription, and it took me, I kid you not, 4 different tries. Like, how does it take 3 hours to deliver a silly Amazon purchase? But to cancel my subscription, I also have to cancel plans for the next several hours. But it's not just me. 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. That's why I love using Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe for you, it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses And because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Seriously, it can save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney/lockedon. So I thank you guys for listening to Locked On Wizards, making it your first listen today. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, so was there any other things that you wanted to bring up about the game? I know Porzingis and Kuz were hot to start off. Same thing with the Pacers game. It kind of was similar to that Pacers game where both guys start off really, really hot. Kuz hitting 7 threes, and then at the end they kind of just tailed off. Like I said, 84-75 in the third quarter. Porzingis taking a bad three at the end. Batum wide open. Like you said, Marcus Morris hit some really big threes, but of course we'll get to John Wall. I'll start on John Wall first. He got it going. He did look like vintage John Wall. He did the behind the back move, but he missed the layup. He did the crossover on Corey Kispert, and he scored. It looked like he wanted to keep going at Corey Kispert. He targeted Corey Kispert. I thought Corey Kispert did a better job in the second half. But John was getting downhill. He's getting to the basket. There was the one time where he yelled at the crowd. He was like, "This is my city. This is my city." Some expletives, and it was just nostalgic, very nostalgic. I thought he looked good out there. Still struggled from the three-point line, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Just looking at the free throws, he shot 3 for 4, but he looked like the John of old. I wanted to see him dunk on somebody, but he didn't get a chance to do that. But yeah, like I said, he looked good. And then the tribute that they did on the scoreboard, it looked like he was getting emotional and it meant a lot to him. You saw the game 7, the game 6 against the Celtics where he hit the game winner. You see the behind the back and then put it behind his back, and then he dunks on shoulder against the Hawks. You see the Dougie when he first came out for his first game at Capital One Arena or Verizon Center at that time. So it just brings you back. John Wall being there since 2010, first week of the draft. That team was awful. Blatch, McGee, Nick Young, Gilbert Arenas after the incident. Just, for him to take this roster and take this team and build it through him as a number one guy and get us to the playoffs, even though we never got past the second round, broke his hand against the Hawks. A couple unfortunate injuries, him making Gortat better, making Bradley Beal better, Ariza better, Otto Porter better. There's so many guys that John Wall made better. So what were your thoughts about John Wall's performance and the tribute that he got?
Man, it was good to see John Wall. It really was. He looks healthy. I'll tell you, he was driving the lane. It looked like the John Wall of old. He was missing 3-point shots. So again, it looked like the John Wall of old. So, but the energy, it just, him almost, him tearing up, the video, just to seeing the video with how much impact he had off the court, just the memories. I'm a big John Wall fan. That's my number one guy. That's my favorite player, man. So, it was good to see him healthy and really playing well. I think, the video, it was cool. It's just like you said, he was tearing up. It's good memories. Just it was a good time. It really was. But him saying this is my city. Oh man, what do you say to that? Because, and I mean, in ways it still is. Look, he was hitting free throws and Wizards fans were cheering. I'm just saying. I mean, real talk. Wizards fans were cheering everything he did. He's still very, very popular here. And you can argue that right now Kuzma was more popular than Bill, because I know that, him and Bill talked in the beginning, but I mean, it goes back to how many people did this guy get paid? You can say that Bradley Beal to a certain degree got paid because of John Wall years, man, because the list goes on of players that got paid. Otto Porter, the list goes on. So I think overall it was cool. The video was cool. Him coming back, it was a good experience. Now, I know he made comments that kind of left the door open a little bit coming back. Now, I don't know, if he's going to come back or, stipulations, but, it made a lot of fans happy because it'd be nice to have him back. But, the game, going back to the game a little bit, John Wall, 13 points. I mean, Paul George, just 3-point, man. That's the, before we move on, the biggest thing about the Clippers game, man, is just perimeter-wise. We got humbled tonight, 3-point line. I mean, they killed us on 3-point line. They destroyed us. And we got to shore that up. We say this time and time again that the defense has to get better, man. This West Coast trip ain't no joke. Look, this West Coast trip is going to make or break this team. Like we said, it's hot stove. A lot of names are being put out there. A lot of names are starting to come out there and emerge as far as being available. And we're going to talk about in a little bit about Kuz and his comments and certain things with KP or even Bill. But the defense has to get better because we are 11-16. We're in 12th, and we are in a spot where we have to start figuring out quick, or before you know it, it ain't gonna be too hard to get Wembanyama, man. It's gonna be we're pretty much just earning that for that number one overall. So for us to have any chance of turning this thing around, we have got to step it up defensively, and that falls on West.
Yeah, it does. I don't want to see this team double team anymore. If you play zone, you have to play smart and you have to be able to rotate. And the Wizards just don't do that well, and they still don't get back on defense too. They struggle with that. I do want to give props to Jordan Goodwin. He had a lot of steals in the game against the Clippers, and then once again, he's just one of the few guys that are really scrappy on this team and that's willing to get on the floor and get dirty. 6 steals, man, that's ridiculous. And that's a lot of steals. That's just being a pest. That's just being pesky. I do want to see him play with DeLon Wright. I'm really intrigued to see that when he comes back. But by the time DeLon Wright gets back, what is our record going to be? Like you said, this West Coast road trip is going to be tough. They got the Nets tomorrow night too, with Kyrie, KD. KD, he loves killing the Wizards. So I would bet the over on Kevin Durant's points. Whenever he plays the Wizards, he probably goes up for 27, 30 points. Goodwin has 17 points. He stepped up when knowing that Monte wasn't going to be there, wasn't going to play. Well, Barton not available. Brad not available. Rui will, just so many guys being out. He's really stepped up, and that was his first start. So that was awesome to see on a positive note. Him having 17 points and 6 steals and 6 assists as well. Gill 4 points. I mean, he was he made a layup in transition. Like you said, Gaff didn't score. But yeah, that's it about the game. It's just time and time again we see them giving up 3-pointers towards the end of the game, not rotating, double teams, West rotations, struggling with rotations as well. But we did shoot well from the 3-point line, 47%, so that's a positive note. We shot better from the free throw line, 17 for 19, and that's something that we've been begging them to do, shoot better from the free throw line. We out-rebounded the Clippers too. Like I said, if you look at the numbers, it's a game they should have won, but the Wizards just don't execute down the stretch, and that's why you are what your record says. You are 11-16. All right, so we're gonna get to the news about Kuz before we get a quick word from Brandon.
Yes, sir. Tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Day podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and a take of the day. Available on Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So, like you said, there were comments made that a lot of execs believe that, 1, he'll be gone by the deadline, and 2, he's ready to be moved and go to a bigger market and to a contending team. So, am I surprised? Nah. We talked about it in the offseason, with him in fashion and, his history being in LA and, a few young ladies that, Jenners that he's been linked to in the past. He's got that big market mind frame. And then,
he's dating Winnie Harlow now.
Oh, so you already know. So, you know what I mean? So he's always had aspirations for a bigger market. So I get that. And with him playing the way he's playing, and him evolving from a role guy to being, really, $20 to $25 million guy, he's going to command that in the offseason. So am I surprised? Nah, not one bit.
I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I kind of am because, the hat that I'm wearing was designed by Kyle Kuzma. I got one of the hats. I know you got one of the hats from the game last night against the Clippers. But I'm just pulling up the article right now, too. This is from Eric Pincus. I'm trying to see where, who he works for. Like, is it he works for Bleacher Report and Sports Biz Class. He is a writer. So, I just want to look how reliable the guy is. He says an NBA source believes that Kyle Kuzma wants out of DC. So there's pros and cons to it. A positive thing is, we were talking about this before we started recording, is that it makes not Ernie, I'm sorry, I almost called Tommy Ernie. He's not too far off, but it makes Tommy Shepard make a decision. It makes Tommy have no choice. And that's the thing. We don't want Tommy to wait too late and hang on to Kuz, and then Kuz leaves for nothing. I actually appreciate if this is really true about Kuz, I'm happy that he actually lets the team know what he really wants, instead of other players who kind of lead the team along. They string the team along. They're not transparent about what they really want, or kind of like what Bill kind of did, where he went into free agency. Does he want to stay? Does he want to go? He ends up staying. We all knew he wanted to stay, but he kind of left it in the air, kind of trying to make it feel like, that he was going to leave. But in this case, Kuz is actually letting people know that he wants out. So I hope, if it is true, that he does go to Tommy Shepard and say, hey, I just want to move on. I appreciate you guys trading for me from the Lakers. You guys gave me an opportunity to revive my career, because in LA, he was a joke. A lot of people were making jokes about him because, him and LeBron, you watch, big media, national TV shows. When you don't play well next to LeBron, like Chris Bosh, they made fun of Chris Bosh because he wasn't playing well in Miami. Now Kuz is the scapegoat because the Lakers weren't winning games. They're making fun of him. So it's tough playing with LeBron. And now when Kuz got traded to the Wizards, he was able to step up. He had more opportunities. Now he's dropping 35 easy. Like we both said, Kuz was playing well, and this was against Kawhi and Paul George. Kuz was balling last night, man. He was dunking. He had the dunk in the first half. He had a couple threes. He was playing well. But all that aside, got to get value for him. If he really wants out, you got to get a first-round pick. And the way he's playing now, I would be like, hey, this guy's dropping 35. He's rebounding. He's passing the ball. He's in threes. I'm going to need more than a first-round pick. I may need a first, and I may need a good player. I may need a first, a second, and a good player. I may need more than just a first. So I think this is good. I want Kuz to keep balling, doing his thing, and I wish him the best to wherever he goes. If he really does want out, and if he really wants to leave, I'm happy for him, and I think a team like the Suns could use him. I just don't know if the Suns have a good package in return. Like I said, like we both said, the Hawks, I think they have the best package of young guys and picks in return for us. I wouldn't sleep on the Mavericks. There's a couple playoff teams that want Kuz. So, hey, if we really want – this is what the article says too. It says, Kuzma, however, is a flight risk and precisely the kind of player many rebuilding teams would covet in free agency. He could be a top 5 free agent this offseason, at worst top 10. He wants out. An NBA source said he's looking for over $20 million a season and is in a big market or with a contender. So the big market could be LA or who knows. Kuzma is believed to still be on the Sacramento Kings radar, and the Kings are winning games now. They're in the playoff race. They haven't been in the playoffs in years after they missed out on him in 2021 when the Lakers traded him to Washington instead of Sacramento. The Kings can't trade a first until 2028 due to protections on their obligation to the Atlanta Hawks for Kevin Huerter. But they could build a deal around Harrison Barnes with that distant pick and our prospects like Davion Mitchell. What were your thoughts about that quote there, too, from the article?
Yeah, I can see the Kings. The Kings, they're surprising people. They look like they could be a playoff team, and they're really trying to build something special. But overall, I think that the groundwork for a rebuild is being built right now. It all came out with, Bill and his podcast with Goodwin Arenas. That rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, and it made management kind of say, really? I mean, I don't know why they're surprised, but, it is what it is. But, blow it up. I mean, I think it's really getting to that point. Blow it up. You got to get value for him. He's definitely worth a first-round pick. You got to get value for him. Now, if I'm the Wizards, if I'm Tommy, I'm number one, I'm asking Bill where you want to go. When he wants to go to LA, I'm dropping him off $1. Ask him where he wants to go. Try to get at least a couple picks out of him. Try to get something for Bill. Maybe a good player back, but something. Move on for Bill. Let him dictate. Let's get rid of that headache, in my opinion. With Kuz, get what you can for him. KP, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion. If you find a good package, maybe a pick or a good player back, but maybe you build around KP. Maybe. And if you're in a position, because look, we're sliding, man. So if you're intent and blowing this up and rebuilding, if you can get yourself in a position to maybe get a Wembanyama, could you imagine him at the 4 and KP at the 5? I'm just saying. That's a very agile front court. Just saying. I mean, at this point, you got to blow it up. 9.9 out of 10 fans right now are saying blow it up. It's time to blow it up. The time is time, man. You have no draft picks that are worth the damn. You have no young players. You know what I mean? You have no young players that people are really sprinting to try to come get. You're at the end. This is it. You're at the end. You have no more assets to get. You have nothing else to get. We can continue to try to even if you bring back Kuz and Rui, and you have KP and Brad. Is this necessarily a team that's going to challenge in the East? Not. It's not. It's not. We have to quit pretending like Bradley Beal's is going to emerge and be this all-world all-star. It's just not. It's not going to happen. Kuz, he, love him as a player. Love your time in DC, but thank you for your service. It's time to send him packing. It's time to get assets. If we can find a first-round pick, that is a blessing, and maybe get a good player back, absolutely. But this management has to. They have to do it. They have to rebuild. At the time, we have nothing left to give. And I'm gonna throw a few other factors in. And if we indeed rebuild, West has to be gone in off season. That's it. Bring in another coach. Bring in a coach with experience. I think somebody said Frank Vogel. That's name. Bring in a coach with experience. Bring in somebody. Bring in a system and find the players to implement it. Look at the young guys. See who you want to keep. You want to keep Kispert? Cool. See what you got with Denny. Cool. Rui going to the contract year, probably move him. But we got to get better in scouting. Bring in, revamp the whole scouting department. The fact that we go against the Clippers and we're surprised by them lighting us up on the perimeter shows that there's not enough scouting on these teams. We should not have been surprised by the Clippers dropping that. Look, we both NBA fans. We know that Kennard can hoop. We know he can shoot the three. So we know you don't know. I mean, come on. We had to revamp this franchise. We got to start it over, straight up. The coach to the scouting department to the players. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard, but that is a rebuild because it's time, man. I don't see anything else left to give. The picks aren't there. Out of the young guys, maybe Rui, somebody would deal for right now. But outside of that, you don't hear a lot of suitors going after Denny. You don't hear a lot of people going after Kispert right now. And Johnny Davis, man, you're lucky to get a half smoking a go-go tape for him, man. So, we have no choice. And I think that if you look at what's going on now, when you see Kuz's name starting to be rotated through the news, you might hear a little bit about KP because with him being healthy and hooping the way he is, his value is going through the roof. Now you can look at KP and say, maybe this is a piece that we can build around. But then you're always going to have to worry about a long-term commitment to him just based on his injury history. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but it has to be done, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't disagree with anything you said. I think it's time to rebuild. Like you said, thank you for your service with Kuz. I think he did an admirable job. Well, when Bill was out last year and he had some clutch shots for us, the 10-3 start, he was a big part of that. We should get a trophy and a banner for that 10-3 start. That's one of the few good things we've had in this franchise for the past couple of years. But yeah, in all seriousness, he's a good player. But if he doesn't want to be back and it doesn't look like we can really afford him. And even if we do bring him back, it's like, where are we going? Because we're not even winning games with him, to be honest with you. We're 11-16. It's time to move on. It really is. And I think it would be better for Kuz too. I think he can help it. I think he can help a championship. I really think he can help the Suns. I think he would be a good fit for them, but I just don't like the return we would get from the Suns. And Porzingis, like you said, there was another article. I think I want to say Eric Pincus said that Porzingis is leaning towards staying right now and just taking the $36 million if he opts in, which would be smart for him. Who would turn down $36 million? Maybe another team may offer him more than that. But honestly, I don't see another team offering him more than $36 million. That's just my guess because of the injury. And knock on wood, he's really stayed healthy this year too, which I'm really happy about. I've been impressed with him staying healthy as well. Knock on wood. Don't want to jinx that. But yeah, it's time to blow it up. We're going to read some of these comments, and I already see the comments saying that. The comments say that every time we do a show, Ben Tate says blow it up. Chimp says get rid of the coach. He's not ready. Let's see here. Chimp says they need Rui back. Yeah, I do. I think they could definitely use Rui. The bench has really been hurting. And he really provides scoring off the bench. Before he got hurt, he was leading. It was him and Benedict Mathurin had the most double-digit games off the bench. And Rui is a big part of that. I know we talk about his defense. I thought he was doing better defensively, and his rebounding, we want to see him do better, improve in those areas. But I thought he was doing that. And he can shoot the three, he can shoot the mid-range, he can score in the post, he can finish above the rim. And him and Kuz, they play well together. They pass the ball well to each other. Rui finishes well when he gets passes from Kuz. So I was impressed by what I saw from Rui before he got injured.
Yeah, Rui is much needed, man, because his scoring spark off the bench, it shows. The bench is non-existent. I mean, 7 points. I mean, come on. But really, if you look at it, West is keeping these guys in too long. 10 minutes for Gav. Come on, man. I mean, let Gav eat. So, yeah, it's time, man. It's just time. It has to be a whole organizational thing, man. If we really want to build this franchise to go forward, look, man, we haven't won a championship since when? It's been a minute.
1978.
78. I wasn't even on this earth yet, man. Like, come on. It's time to blow it up. What are we doing? Because really, and I was talking to people about this. Look, if the goal is playing or first round exit, that's a loser mentality. Like, you want to build a franchise to be a championship franchise. There are small market teams that can do it. Golden State is a small market. If you look at it, it's a small market team. And how did they do it? They drafted people. They were smart about it. They developed them. And then when it came to re-sign them, they could because they're homegrown guys. So you can go into the luxury. So if you're going to go into the luxury, yeah, you're going to go into luxury with Curry, Thompson, and Draymond. I mean, that's easy, man. We don't have that type of talent. Draymond's second round pick. Where is our second round pick? I mean, is he? I forget what league he's in.
Yannick Zosa. Isaiah Todd was in the second round, so he was on the bench against the Clippers, but he didn't play. I thought that might have been a game where he could have got in because we barely had any players on the roster. But they still just don't think he's ready yet to play him.
Yeah, it's just we got to quit doing this whole drafting the guy and let him sit overseas. No, you need to draft people, develop them, and the whole goal is to get them into either A, being a starter or maybe an all-star, or B, a really solid role guy. But this, we can't let people sit because the league is showing you how valuable second-round picks are. You got to, we're trying to find these diamonds in the rough, being at the 10th to the 15th pick. That's on scouting. That's, so let's get to it. Drew said, same pattern like last season. Started good, then dropped off. West isn't the coach to take us to the next level. Too many good players to have this standing. I mean, we do have talent, but these last couple of years it feels like we're trying to take a lot of spare parts and trying to coerce them into a team. I think it was smart. I don't know. I think we're, to a certain degree, looking at the former Lakers, we're feeling KCP right now. If you look at KCP, he's having a solid season. We're missing his defense. We're missing his leadership a little bit. And he had a consistent 3-point shot. So we're missing that a little bit. So again, we could sit here and talk about, we need a point guard. We need this, but we have nothing else to give, man, to get a point guard. What would you give up? I mean, we can move a young guy here or there, but really, if we go out and get a starting point guard right now, does it move the needle? Does it move the needle? And even if we rebound and challenge, we're not winning the East. We're not going to go anywhere above an 8th to the 6th seed. So what's the point? Blow it up. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I totally understand. And I understand people are begging for a rebuild. We're not going to get it. The Wizards will never ever tank. So that's Ted Leonsis' way. That's what he wants. That's the way he wants it to be. Chimp says, I feel players don't respect Wes Unseld Jr. He's not a good coach. Rui, Kuz, and KP will be gone at the end of the season, so we might as well tank. I think more of that is last year. I think more of that was last year, where the respect thing. Excuse me. I think guys respect him more this year because they got guys that are willing to buy. Like, he bought his own guys. So Monte Morris is going to respect Wes because they have a great relationship. Same thing with Will Barton. Brad, Brad's going to do whatever because he has the green light, so he's going to shoot whatever shot he wants to take or do whatever he really wants because this is his team, this is his franchise. He probably has an ownership stake in the team as well. He might as well with the no trade clause and the trade kicker and just the contract. But other guys that I would say that respect Wes, some of the shot selection, buying into his defensive scheme, and maybe they're not believing in his defense as well. Some of the double teams he calls in the zone, and just some of the decisions, the rotations, taking guys out when they get hot. Rui, there's some times where he gets hot, he takes Rui out. There's times Porzingis, he doesn't put Porzingis back in the game when he's hot. So, Wes, there's times where he does look like an assistant coach instead of a head coach. And like you said, just the emotion, just getting guys, galvanizing guys, just being a leader of men. I still think he's learning that and being able to connect with guys on an emotional level and to get the best out of guys and the best out of people. Some people aren't rah-rah guys. Not everybody's Tom Thibodeau. Not everybody is, Pat Riley, getting guys riled up. Not everybody's that has that kind of personality, but you do want to see some more emotion from your coach. And, Wes is just more of a reserved, relaxed guy from what I've seen now. And some of the late game call, I haven't really seen a good play call from him really down the stretch. It's either a Bill isolation where Bill usually, unfortunately, turns the ball over or dribbles it off his leg. And we see a bad shot or a tough contested shot by Porzingis at the end or a tough contested shot by Kuz. So inbounds plays or struggling plays for Wes too. I could go on a long laundry list about Wes. I always bring up that Clippers game. I bring up the 42-point loss against the Nets. He's been disappointing so far. He really has. And the defense. The defense has been the most disappointing too because, like we both said, he was supposed to be a defensive-minded coach. And it looks like they regressed, honestly, from the year with Scott Brooks when they made the playoffs. And we talked about how bad Scott Brooks' defense was. So does Wes still have an opportunity to be a good coach in the league? Yes. It may not be here. Maybe he gets another opportunity. I'm not going to count him out yet, but maybe he gets another opportunity somewhere else. And he learns from things that didn't work here, may get another job somewhere else. But we'll see. I don't want to talk. I don't want to say Wes is not going to work out, but it's just not looking too good. And he may not be the guy for the rebuild, like you said.
Well, I'll say this, and I was thinking about this. I will say this. He came in as a first-time head coach dealing with veterans. Mm-hmm. So maybe seeing how he deals with a rebuild, actually finding the guys to implement in his system could change that. Because he's not very vocal, and that frustrates me. And it's just, you want to see more emotion. But I think, I'm willing to see how he does a year, maybe two in the rebuild. Because, you come in as a guy who's never coached before. You don't have any reputation. Look, Pat, like you said, Pat Riley comes in and coaches your organization. He has a reputation. You know what to expect. He's a first-time guy dealing with a bunch of veterans. It's obviously very overwhelming for him because you got to deal with the egos. So I would kind of, if we're going to rebuild, I'd like to see at least a year with how he does coaching a rebuilding team and actually getting the guys and getting the pieces to really implement his system, because it's tough to implement a defensive system when most of the players on your team can't play defense. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's on drafting too.
It's on drafting.
Tommy Shepard,
Absolutely. Tommy has to step up because KP, great trade. But time is now. Rebuild, you got to have some skill to rebuild as a GM. The game doesn't stop because you're rebuilding. You got to be on your game. So, yeah, I totally agree, brother. Let's see real quick. Gilad Zelzer said.
This probably been the last one.
Oh, yes, sir. Goodwin is great in the starting lineup. Should replace Monte for sure. Absolutely. Him and Denny provides really great D in the starting unit, and that is the correct offensive defensive balance. I agree. I think that Goodwin looked good last night starting. I think he did well. Now, him and John kind of went back and forth, and you saw them kind of fighting with each other, and you like to see that.
Right.
I'm impressed with Goodwin, man. Just the fact that you're going up in John Wall trying to, oh, man, come on. That dog in him, that's what we need. We need more players with dogs in them. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, Goodwin should be starting. I think when DeLon comes back, and I think Monte may be a guy that you explore trade options for. I think both of the Nuggets guys you explore trade options for. I know December 15th, which is a few days away, is when guys are going to be – a lot of guys are eligible to be traded. I think Monte, Will, Kuz, a lot of guys should be eligible. We should explore trade options for and see what value we can get. And I think those guys are certainly a couple of those guys that should be on the list. And Jordan Goodwin, we talked about Diamond on the Rough too. He's one of the few hits that they have made, and he was undrafted out of St. Louis. That's a good find. He played for the Go-Go too. So they're finding guys out of the Go-Go. They're using that program. I want to see Quentin Jackson play. If we do blow it up, seriously, I want to see Quentin Jackson play. I want to see Goodwin play more. Johnny Davis better be out there too. Isaiah Todd better play. That's what they really need. After the trade deadline, that's what they need to focus on. What are we getting from Todd? Is he somebody that we need to play or what? What's going on with him and his development? And Quentin Jackson, I think he can come in and make an impact better than some of the guys that are playing right now.
Absolutely. Look, we're going to end it there. Time to blow it up. So, again, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight, showing us love. Definitely on YouTube. We're close to 3,000 subscribers. So, definitely like, subscribe. Let's get to that 3K. And check out me and my dude, the real Ed Oliver, on Instagram and Twitter. Game days, we talk about the game, we shooting it. So definitely check us out. And everybody have a good Sunday.
Yes, sir. We're gonna wrap it up here.
Yes, sir. Peace.